Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Um, it's another serious video today. Because we're living in serious times. Today's video is on tips on making your visit to a Nigerian hospital more successful. If you're one of the people who don't know why this video may be necessary, I congratulate you. It means you haven't come into contact with what is more than you. But I have. Yesterday, I learned of 2 unnecessary deaths, one from an asthma attack. Can you imagine that? I'm sure people from more developed countries would be like, people dying from an asthma attack? Like, how does that happen? But yeah, that happens in Nigeria. Fortunately, our healthcare system is still quite underdeveloped, to say the least. Unfortunately, I have some experience in this area over the last few years. I've had to visit various Nigerian hospitals and doctors more regularly than I would like. And on some occasions, the patient hasn't come back. And I'm not trying to bash anybody. Some of these situations, the doctor has told me, if you were in a different country, it wouldn't be this difficult. If you're in a different country, the outcome would have been different. And that makes me sad, because it means my life is being limited because of where I am. It means if I were in a different country, my life would be more protected, and that's not a good feeling to have. It's not a good feeling to have at all. So I'm not making this video to bash any doctors. I feel they do the best that they can. It's a hard job, and it takes a lot of training to get to that point. But it's a faulty system, and we have to acknowledge that. And for the rest of us who don't really have the training, we have to try and do the best we can, so that we don't become casualties of that faulty system. If you watch my last video, you would see that I lost my mother over a year ago due to a sudden illness that we still don't know. The doctor said, I think they said it was cardiac arrest, but is there ever a person who dies that their heart is still beating? Yes, every dead person has a cardiac arrest. Anyway, there was a lot of carelessness in that situation, and unfortunately, it's not an isolated event. Like I said before about what the other doctors told me. I watched a video about Equatorial Guinea where the narrator, a documentary, the narrator said when people fall sick, and I'm sure it doesn't apply everywhere, that when people fall sick, they try not to go to the hospital because they are afraid that they might not come back, that may worsen their situation. And I don't believe we're at that point, but in several places, it only takes one time for your life to be messed up by one mistake. And I've had that happen to me. And the more I see it happen with different people, the more I try to think, what can we do? And this video is just to give tips on what can make that better. We try a lot in Nigeria. We give ourselves electricity, give ourselves water, we give ourselves gas, we give ourselves security, even to our roads sometimes with blocks, with wood. But there's a limit to what we can do. We're not all of us are doctors, and even as a doctor, you still need equipment, you still need a lot of things, and the system has to work for you to get a basic and acceptable standard, which is mostly missing, even in the expensive places. So this video is just to give us tips on what we can do. They may be common knowledge to some people, but to some people, they just have complete trust in the system, and it only takes that one experience to mess you up. So I would like us to do prevention is better than cure in this case. If you go armed, then chances are you come out with a better result. Learn from those who have suffered from experience, I think. So with my mother, it was just a bad situation. The whole thing started with, she said she had some rashes on her hands. Sometimes they would come and go, and she went to different places to check. It wasn't hurtful, it wasn't itchy or whatever, and the best she could get even from teaching hospitals was that maybe allergies. She was in her early 50s. Do you develop allergies in your early 50s? And it wasn't sudden with anything. She changed everything she could, and it just wouldn't go away. And after a while, I think it went, then it came back, then it went, and then you didn't know there was the issue. And then one day I called her, I'm coming to visit you. I said, yeah, I shouldn't. I'm like, what's happening? She said she's in hospital. You hospital? Like, I'm the first of 5, and I never knew when she went to the hospital to give birth. She went herself. So that would be the first time I would hear I'm in the hospital ill. And what would they say? Malaria and typhoid. Everything is malaria and typhoid in Nigeria. Even without tests, God will help us. I particularly doubt that one because I've had that hospital. I've had a bad experience with that hospital, and they were they were apologizing to me. So I'm not trying to impute fault on them. And then the another thing they said she had a stomach infection. A few hours later, they said it was a kidney failure. A few hours after that, it wasn't kidney failure again. So we just we need help in this country, and I believe that it is only God that is helping us. You can go to the hospital and not come back. The hospital I said apologized to me. I went there myself because I felt I had an attack that wasn't getting better with my inhaler and the rest, and they gave me medication in the wrong way that I reacted to. I ended up sleeping in the hospital for 3 days, which I paid for. Um, but we need to do better. There's no one life that is more important than the other, whether you're in Nigeria, whether you're in Canada, wherever you are. So we need to do better. Another example with an elderly relative of mine who fell sick um, after hearing that my mother had passed, and the hospital was treating her for an infection. And when I tried to call, what infection is it? The doctor as well was like, I don't know anything about any infection. No. I'm like, how about her fire? I don't know anything about any infection. No. The only thing I can see is malaria. All the while, for like a week plus, they had been treating her with different antibiotics and different medications. Turns out when we finally say, okay, please, who can we trust? Who can we find in this place? Who can she see? Turns out all she needed was is it Lexotan, just to relax. She was sick from shock. That was all it was. I mean, our lives are not. It's not a game. It's not if you don't like this food, taste this one. Everything you do messes you up a little bit. Even in trying to treat the asthma, I've just it's been a mess. Go for one doctor who gives you one thing, who comes back and like, oh, I wasn't supposed to give you that. Oh, sorry. And you're like, sorry what? Or you take this medicine, you start to feel sick, you go and see the doctor, say, oh, it's because I gave you this medicine, so now I'm giving you this one. Oh, you know what, let me remove you from this one. And I understand that there's an element of use this, but sometimes diagnosis is completely wrong, and it's very unfortunate. Anyway, how can we do better? Let us not focus on the problem. Number one, try to live healthy. Try to avoid going to the hospital in the first place. If you don't go, you cannot be messed up. If you are strong, if you eat well, if you run, if you exercise, if you rest, and that rest part is very important because we stress ourselves in that country. If you exercise, if you eat well, if you wash what you washing your food, your hands, washing your food and everything. If you just try to live as healthy as you can, you can avoid going to the hospital unnecessarily. The second thing, if you have to go to a hospital, this is where the bulk of my advice is: research. Which is why I say don't wait till it's really bad. When you start feeling a bit funny, start checking out what's wrong with me, what's wrong with me, what's wrong with me. And take some Tylenol, some paracetamol now. Oh no, this isn't going too well. Let me try and find out. Okay, where can I go? Where is trusted? And to know where to go, I have 4 factors you may want to consider. Number 1, knowledge of the doctor. Very important. In Nigeria, we have big hospitals, we have small ones. What is common to all? Doctors. Even the one in a one-room apartment, doctors. And I've come to realize that it's not the size of the hospital that determines how knowledgeable the doctor is. It's just who they are. I had a doctor who saw me and was like, oh, what do we do now? I'm like, what do we do how? So what, I think I should send you for a test. What test should I send you for now? I was an art student in secondary school. I don't know. So I took my 2 legs and I ran away. And I started asking around because it was starting to affect my work. It was starting to affect so many things. I wasn't reliable wherever I was. There was a time I went to a hospital, I got some medication. I was off for 3 weeks, just like that. And then, anyway, So I finally found someone who collects a lot of money, but she knows her stuff. So she had the knowledge in even broader areas. She could tell you who else knew about something. So at the point I was able to see someone who, although he was close to retiring, I could find him somewhere, even it wasn't in a hospital. I mean, when you have to start researching to find the hospital, it's bad. There should be a standard. You should be able to go to this one and know that, okay, at least there's a standard. If they don't know, they can send me, okay, to go to this place without an emergency. But to now go somewhere and they practically mess your system up, it's not right. It's not right. And we have a system without redress. So when people mess up, there is no accountability. I have an aunt in the US where my mother passed. She was like, we need to sue the hospital. We need to do that. But I mean, what's going to come of it? And I know that that's not a good mentality to have, because the more you fight, the higher your chances of winning. But our mother wasn't coming back, so that's a personal decision to make. So knowledge of doctor is very important. If you don't know what you're doing, please refer me to somebody who does. I've gone to meet a doctor on one occasion who was like, and I explained to her what was wrong with me. I was having more asthma attacks. I was very tired. I was having trouble walking. I was having trouble so many. She was like, you just need to rest. Just use your inhaler. You'll be okay. And I'm like, I'm using it. It's not functioning so well. I have my own nebulizer. It's not doing so good. You know what? Just rest. If you're not feeling well, come back. Come back in a couple of days. And my health insurance is going to pay for this. And I left. And at some point, after a few days, I think I fainted and had to carry me to another hospital. And then they found the problem. So, and this is a big island hospital. Well, so that's where the knowledge of doctor comes in. Chances are maybe if it's a bigger hospital, they can afford better doctors who may charge more or who may command higher salaries. But it's not restricted just to them. It's just not. So try and watch as you're listening to the doctor. If he knows his stuff, ask questions, try to understand. The second thing is facilities in a hospital. You may have a very knowledgeable doctor, but it's just a hospital that isn't well equipped. It may be a hospital with one bed, two nurses. It may be a hospital where you have to take your malaria sample to some other lab somewhere where the results won't come out for 4 days, in which case your body is just rotting down. So that's another factor to consider. The what do you call it? The facilities, whether they have a well equipped lab and everything. With my anyway, the third one is efficiency of staff. That's one thing I know that people run away from public hospitals from. Because the nurse will shout at me. She'll be like, Madam, sit down there. You think you are the only one sick in this place? And that's just mouth. If you will treat me well, at least do that. But we've had so many situations where they're just not. So with my mother, they were supposed to do a test. And we kept asking, what's the result of test? They took the sample right before us and they went, no, we don't know what is wrong because the result is not out yet. When will the result out? Shortly. I hate that word. Shortly. The results will be out shortly. Hours. Shortly. And then so my father got irate and it was just bad. And then they now came clean. I was like, you know what? We can't find the sample. We can't find your sample. By the time they came to take another sample, it was over. So yes, efficiency of staff counts. The fourth one is efficiency of process. Now, what's the difference? Efficiency of staff talks about the individual people. Efficiency of process talks about so with the lab situation, if there was an efficient process, there would have been somebody that we could complain to who would go and check. But because both factors were nothing to write home about, no one could correct the other one. It may also be a good hospital with a knowledgeable doctor with very nice nurses, and we have those, and there are 300 patients waiting to see 2 doctors. That's not an efficient process. Could it work? So you have to try and gauge the levels of all 4: the knowledge of the doctor, the facilities in the hospital, the efficiency of staff, and the efficiency of process. For me, it's sort of, I've arranged it in order of importance, with the first one having the highest for me. just because I feel like a knowledgeable doctor can make things work for you. And it's like the starting point. Doctor has to know what to test you for, right? So that's why I sort of calculate like that. So I'm not sure I would compromise the knowledge of the doctor. The fifth factor I didn't include, but it's also a factor for many, is money. If we could all afford to travel, to do everything, we would. Not all of us can do that. And some of us sit at home because we are sick. Or we are sick, we know we should go to the hospital, but we just don't have the money. Or we know that this doctor is telling me rubbish, but I can't afford to go to a hospital where the doctor will just pick some phone, pack some paracetamol looking medicine in my hand, and ask me to go. It is well with me. And rob me of my school fees. So it's a balancing act, unfortunately, for a lot of Nigerians. But I just want to remind us, health is wealth. You can spend the money and make it later. You can lose the money and gain it later. You can't lose your life and gain it later. There's some things you do to your body now that you cannot regain with whatever money you may have later. There's just nothing you can do about it later. You just have to try and manage it. So let's not reduce our quality of life because we are trying to save some nairas. May God continue to help us. So now, other than the hospital factor, you also have a very important role to play in your healthcare. It's not just to go and sit down in front of the doctor and just be like, doctor, I'm just not feeling well. And doctor is looking at you like, when did I become a babalawo? When did I become a herbalist? So we need to be involved in our healthcare. We need to take charge also. And I don't mean Google your symptoms. I don't mean WebMD and be like, my foot is hurting, what's going on? WebMD will be like, you know what? You have leg tumor. That's not what I mean. I mean, note your symptoms. I mean, note your history. So that when you get in front of the doctor and the doctor says, what's wrong with you? Say, maybe my tummy, my abdomen, tummy is tummy, my belly, the left side, should be able to tell. When did it start? 4 days ago. Not the one that it started 3 months ago. It's just like, it was paining me, but it just wasn't that bad. It's just yesterday it became bad. God help us in this country. So we need help so that we don't get the wrong diagnosis, so that they don't give us an antibiotic when we have ulcer. So don't assume that your doctor can read your mind. My mother would always say, speak your mind. Say it, this is what is wrong with me. And that's what the doctor will say when you get there. How can I help you? What is going on? And some doctors will have the patience to press and say, what part of your stomach? What's this? What this? What this? Another doctor that cares but doesn't really have patience to ask you will just give you a bunch of tests and fear more your money. And some will just be like, you know what? Try this malaria drug first. try this Ciprotab. Just take and go. And when you go and you come back and it hasn't gotten better, but your resistance has increased to medication for when you later need the medicine. Let's try and avoid it by knowing our own history, by knowing our own what's going on. Some people will go to a hospital, they pack drugs in our hand. Oh, we know that it is white, it is yellow, it is red, it is blue. You need to know what exactly you are putting in your system. What if you are allergic to something? What if it doesn't combine well with food? And it is the same us that go to hospitals without knowing what they are giving us that will be circulating broadcast messages on WhatsApp saying don't take a cough syrup with milk, don't take paracetamol with Fanta. Why is it that you know that one to do, but you can't even know what the medicine in your hand is? Please, we need to be careful before we start blaming the government, before we start blaming the doctor, before we start blaming the hospital. Have you done your part? So you need to try that. Third thing I would advise is try not to go alone, especially when you are going to hospitals where there will be a lot of people. The thing is, when people are ill, they don't have the strength to fight for themselves. They don't have the strength to argue. If you go to a hospital and see a person that is saying he's sick and is shouting for attention, he's not that sick, I tell you. But if you have somebody with you, you are able to rest while he activates. He's your activist, your health activist. It's like, we have been here for the last 45 minutes. Up till now, you have not brought out our file. Bring out our card. You need somebody that can talk for you so that you will not where you are. Somebody that will be able to say, okay, no, this is not the case. So you need somebody, especially when you're going to like a government hospital. I've seen a situation where I went with my friend to the hospital and she was in serious pain. Nurse was like, Kilo day, are you the first person that will fall sick? And she didn't answer her because she was just upset that maybe she was in pain. And I had to go and meet the nurse. I'm like, my friend has been here since. You're attending to other people. I don't know, maybe you started paying bribes in hospital. I don't think so. But if you can get somebody to go with you, please do. They will help you ask the right questions. They will help you pick up your medication, your result. They will help you keep your seat while you are in the toilet. Speed up the process and all of that. The last advice I will give, and it might be hard to do, is to try not to self-medicate. We've had so many hospital horror stories, and probably we think we just want to handle it on our own. And trust me, I've been there. But you just don't have the training. As much as you think you know, as much as you don't want to risk somebody else messing you up, you really don't have a choice. So when you sit down there thinking, you know what, it's not that bad, it's okay, something else may be going wrong. When you finally get to the hospital, you find out that it has gotten to a stage where you have to manage your care. It's not, you can't fix the problem, you just have to manage it. And then who do you have to blame? So you don't want to go and take some agbojedi there, collect scatter from you and give you pneumonia in future. You need to be careful. God will continue to help us. If you have any more tips, please give to me, I beg. God will bless all of us. Bye bye.